Our goals should be so big that you have to grow into them. Because if your goals don't scare the hell out of you, if you don't know how you're going to accomplish your goals, if you have no idea how you're going to get there, and if your goal is not that big, what is the point? You serve the world no purpose by living small.
Thank you for tuning in. This is the Dr. Sam Show, and I am your friend, host, and confidant, Dr. Sam. And I'm telling you, we got a great show coming up for you today. I got two powerful young men that are really doing it out here in the world. My first guest is Mr. Peris Edwards, former pro athlete and a prolific author now who has a book out called 365 Days of Happiness. And I'm telling you, we're going to be talking about how to get happy. Don't everybody want to be happy? Pharrell ain't the only one to want to be happy. We all want to be happy. And also, I got Mr. Markus Cipley, a young man who came up through the neighborhood, got us a little trouble and got his life straight. Now he's a powerful, motivational, transformational speaker. And we're going to ask him, what is that, a transformational speaker? He's doing some great things. I'm very excited about these shows. These are two great young men that are making their mark in the world. So get ready, be ready. This is a show you want to watch. This is Dr. Sam, and we'll be right back.
This is the Dr. Sam Show, featuring your host, Dr. Sam, bringing you prescriptions for your heart, relationships, money, mind, and soul. Now, here's Dr. Sam.
And welcome back. For those of you that are just tuning in, welcome to the Dr. Sam Show, where I'm your host, confidant, and friend, Dr. Sam. And we got a great show for you today. My first guest is a philanthropist, substitute teacher, fireman, former athlete, and most importantly, one of the greatest authors coming out of the 21st century. He has a book called 365 Days of Happiness. I want you to put your hands together, family, and welcome Mr. Peris Edwards. How you doing there, Peris?
I'm good. How you doing, Dr. Sam?
Good. Peris, this is a phenomenal book that you've had, and we talked about before on the radio show.
Yes, sir.
We're talking about 365 Days of Happiness.
Yes, sir.
Tell us, what made you write this book, and then I'm going to get to some real questions.
Okay. All right. Well, what had made me write the book, I graduated college about 7 years ago from Miami University, and I played football there. And I was pursuing the NFL, just like thousands of other collegiate athletes after college. And it didn't go as planned, long story short. It didn't go as planned. I didn't get into the NFL, despite me believing that I had the talent to do so. So I went another route. I played some arena football. I played some Canadian football. And I did that for 3 years. So after that...
Did you like doing that?
I loved it.
Okay.
I loved it. But I also only saw it short term to get to the NFL.
Gotcha.
So after 3 years of doing that, I had a shift in my heart to stop playing football. And when I stopped playing football, it was the hardest thing that I ever dealt with in my life. It kind of felt like a divorce, like I lost a part of me, I lost my identity. And in that moment, I hit rock bottom. I realized that my success and my happiness cannot be in an accomplishment.
Correct.
So I got the idea to write a book. It kind of became therapy, to release and to write and to share my story with people, that life is not what happens to you, but how you respond to it. So that alone was the sole reason I wrote the book. And that's how it came about, through my trials and tribulations.
Now, let me ask you this, Peris, before we get further in the book. One of the things I want to talk about for a quick second is that transition that athletes make from playing sports to now all of a sudden playing sports. And I don't think that the average person or human being or citizen will understand how drastic that is, because it's something you used to doing every day, probably since most of them, since Pee Wee football.
Yep, absolutely.
And all of a sudden, tell what did that do to you? I know you just mentioned like the depressed. I think you mentioned did you
Yes,
mention depression?
I did.
Like what did that do to you? I want them to hear that.
It made me question my purpose in life, because
Wow, okay.
when you're playing ball, and then especially when you go play at the collegiate level, that's all you know. You know, people say don't put all your eggs in one basket. Well, when I'm doing something, I'm doing it. I'm all in. That's what I'm focused on. I'm not thinking about plan B. I'm thinking about making plan A work.
Right.
That's plan B. So it really, I guess the best word to use is it really humbles you, because I've invested since I was 7 years old playing football up until I was about 26, 25. So
Wow.
that's what I've been invested in.
Right.
So imagine investing in something for years and for years and for years, and then that stock goes away.
Yeah.
Or whatever you invested in goes away. And it went away, and it made me do some soul searching. It made me really dig deep into who I am. Because even though I was more than a football player, that's kind of how I identify myself.
Right.
So that kind of blew up when football went away. So it's like, are you really happy? Are you really genuinely happy with the person you are, not with what you do? So it made me dig deep and find myself and find God and build my relationship with God even more, to value who I am and not what I do.
Man, that's good, Peris. That's good, because and the reason I wanted to bring that up, because most people really never understand that, football is the most popular sport in America.
Yes.
And a lot of times you see former players that are on air, they go from sports to being analysts.
Yes.
But they talk about that not having that thing, that adrenaline or that high.
Yes, it's not
And,
the same. It's
not
not the same talking about it. It is not the same.
So let's we about to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk about what's real happiness.
Okay.
All right, this is Dr. Sam Show. We're going to be back with Mr. Edwards. We'll be right back. This is your friend Dr. Sam, and I'm actually go to our website, www.thedrsamshow.us, or as I like to say, .us, because I'm feeling real friendly. Also, check me out in the Toledo Journal under the column As Dr. Sam. It comes out every Wednesday, where I'm giving advice for your heart, relationship, money, mind, and soul. And also check out the Dr. Sam radio show, where every Sunday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we are also giving out relationship advice and everything you want to see here. You can check us out on a Simple Radio app, iHeart app, or go to www.107.com. Hey, I love you. Peace. I'm out. And we're back. And I'm talking to author, philanthropist, motivational speaker and fireman, Mr. Peris Edwards, who has a book called 365 Days of Happiness. Before we went to commercial break, we was talking about some of the experience he had as going as a college athlete and also a professional athlete. But now we want to talk about happiness and how can we be happy? Mr. Edwards.
Yes, sir.
What is the first thing I need to do to be happiness? Or what? Let me back up and ask this first.
Okay.
What is the true definition of happiness?
In my opinion, my humble opinion, I think the true definition of happiness is 1, learning who you are, 2, loving who you are. You have to love who you are first before you love what you do. I love
That's good, man.
Peris first before I love Peris the fireman. I love Peris first before I love Peris the author, because all of those things are temporary. They can be taken away from me at any given time. But the thing is, when people don't take the time and learn themselves and learn who God created them to be and get to know God, because He made you, so He knows everything about you. Once you do that, the things that happen to you doesn't affect your true, genuine happiness. I'm not talking about a happiness and an accomplishment that doesn't last.
Yeah.
An accomplishment happiness, or that adrenaline, doesn't last. That winning a football game doesn't last versus me loving the person that I am. And there's nothing wrong with being happy because you win a football game, or because you've played football, or because you're a firefighter, or because you wrote a book. But that isn't who you are. That's what you do. And I think that's where we get confused. We tie our happiness to an accomplishment. Happiness is a lifestyle.
Yes.
It's not an accomplishment. It's something that you have to practice every day consciously.
Walk in it.
You have to walk in it. You know, that book is not the answer to happiness. That book is a guide to happiness, a guide to a lifestyle that I'm still working on every single day. So it's simply a decision that you're going to be happy with who you are and not what you do and how life or what it throws at you, but you're going to be happy.
Well, one of the things I know that almost everybody says is, I want to be happy. And in my opinion, I really think 9 out of 10 people couldn't define it if you asked them what is happiness for you. They would first think of things, they would think of materials, things that can make them happy from the outside coming in. But like you just humbly described, it really starts from the inside going out.
Absolutely.
So when happiness starts from the individual, which it does, and it trickles down to, let me ask you this, does it have to trickle down through every aspect of your life? And if it does, which you and I both believe it do, how do I have happiness with my kids, happiness with my marriage, happiness with my job, happiness with my church? Where does this, what's the general thesis in my perception of life do I have to see happiness, for example, in those 4 things?
Well, one, you need balance. You need balance with everything. But in order for that to happen, to trickle down in every aspect, you have to know that everything works for the greater good. When I didn't get to where I wanted to get in football, a no from a coach or a no from the NFL, you don't know that a no from a person is a yes from a God to another plan.
Correct.
I would have never imagined.
Good, boy, you trying to get him.
I would have never imagined that I would be a firefighter, an author, and I would never guess that would have happened off the spin off what didn't happen playing football. So you have to know that a no from the world or a no from another human being means yes from God to something else. So you have to know that everything works together for the better good. And God has the plan while you have a plan. So once you genuinely know who you are and you genuinely put 100% and keep everything balanced, then you can have happiness in all those different aspects. And your light will shine on everything else. And you will bless others with your blessings.
And I'm a firm believer that you have to go through unhappiness in order to even identify what happiness is, because if you didn't, you wouldn't recognize when you see it.
Absolutely.
And a lot of times, just to elaborate on what you said, a lot of times when you have closed doors or things don't go your way, your response is going to dictate not if you can get to happiness, but when you get to happiness.
I agree 100%.
And so if your happiness is depicted on your perception of not just you but the world, then there's some wisdom, there's some knowledge and some decisions or some things or some people or some stuff you have to either have to let go, you have to change, or you have to add.
Yes, sir.
And all of them are not going to be in your comfortable circle. I've done many things that I wasn't comfortable doing, that I know I had to do. I knew I had to do in order to get to where I'm going. So let's take a moment. What the people that don't believe they can ever attain happiness? Where do they start from? How do we help them?
Well, you gotta have a vision. First of all, you gotta know where you want to go. You gotta know
that's true.
Where you want to be. The mind. It's a scientific fact that the mind knows no different than you imagining something versus something that's actually happening. So you have to have a vision.
Boy, you trying to kill him out here.
It's a fact. It's a scientific fact.
That is a fact.
It's a fact. So when you do that, you muster all your energy, all your power, everything that you can control to what you want. So, like you said about the feeling, everything is not comfortable. We associate happiness with feelings.
Yeah.
We associate, and I think of it as the weight room. I love to work out. It's the athlete in me.
I used to. I'm trying to get back to that. What I'm saying? The athlete in me is kind of subdued right now. It's subdued right now.
It's in there. But I always think of that being uncomfortable as when you go to the gym.
Yeah.
When you work out, there's no growth unless you're uncomfortable. There is no growth unless you're uncomfortable. So life is the same exact way. So when you have that vision, you have that goal, you're going to go through stages. And you may perceive those stages as bad or good. That's just your perception. But if your eye is on the prize and your eye is on the vision and you enjoy that journey on the way there, that's happiness. It's not waiting to be happy. Why would you wait tomorrow to be happy when you don't know if tomorrow is going to come?
Man, Mr. Edwards, boy, you're cooking. Your shoes is smoking on the set. But we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the book, 365 Days of Happiness. Mr. Peris Devohn, we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Rhonda Cobb, the Money Coach, and I'm here to remind you to tune in to the Dr. Sam Show every Tuesday at 4 in the afternoon, where we'll cover topics that are pertinent to your life, like money, life, love, fitness, and all of it covered with Dr. Sam and his unique brand of humor and love. We love you, and we want to see you watching the Dr. Sam Show.
And we're back. This is your friend, Dr. Sam, and I am sitting in the studios today with prolific author, former athlete, Mr. Peris Edwards, who wrote a book called 365 Days of Happiness. He didn't say 363, he said 5. So we're going to talk about the book a little bit and see why he said 365 Days of Happiness versus 363. Mr. Edwards, let's dig in the book a little bit, man.
Okay.
This book I know is very dear to your heart.
Absolutely.
I know you took, how long did it take you to write the book?
It took me 4 years to write that book.
4 years.
4 long years.
Now, is this the what? Now, let me ask this based on what we've been talking about. What 4 years was it? Was it while you was coming out of college? Was you in between pro or when you stopped? What 4 years was it?
It was from when I stopped playing football until 2015. So it was 2011, like right after I stopped playing ball, till last year when I finished writing the book and published it this year.
And that's when you was doing the soul searching.
Absolutely.
All right. So in this soul searching, and from the book, 'cause I know you got all this in the book. What did you find out of all the things that came across your epiphany, your spirit? What's the most important thing that's in that book that you figure out I needed to know that?
I would say the biggest thing is that the grass is not greener on the other side. Meaning where you are not is not more important than where you are.
Woo!
And
he doing it again.
It sounds so cliche, but if you compare yourself, if you compare your life, if you compare your blessings, if you compare your adversity to anyone else's, you are immediately giving up your power and you are giving up your attitude of gratitude, which is a very important part to happiness. Because I could look at you and say, oh man, I'm an author, but Dr. Sam got his own show. I don't have to compare my blessings to yours. Your blessings are blessing me. I wrote a book, I'm on your show. We share blessings. Blessings are for each other. You can't compare your adversities or your blessings to other people because you'll never be happy. You'll never, ever be satisfied. I think that's the biggest thing when I was going through what I was going through, that I don't need to compare my life to anyone else. Because one of the things I was worried about when I was going through that soul searching is how will others look at me now that I'm not an athlete, that I'm not a football player. I was really worried about that. And I think the lesson I need to learn the most is that I don't need to compare myself to anybody. I need to be happy with who I am.
Peris, let's stop right there, brother. That's so good. And because one of the most important things of being happy is knowing what your purpose is and what you're supposed to be doing.
Absolutely.
Because the more, and I know you know this, I'm finding this out, the more popular to get, the more you out there, people always want to bring you into things, or they got these opportunities, and you have to know when to just say no, not because I don't love it, but that's not what I'm supposed to be doing. You see what I'm saying? I got a book I'm working on, so as I work, I'm gonna come to you before I get done. Cause you got a book. I'm on the show. I gotta come to the book. I ain't got no book though, but I got a book I'm working on. But I think that's one of the most powerful things that we as human beings get caught up in. Is trying to impress people, because when you can't skip you to make anybody happy. So when you skip you automatically giving the power of your happiness or your potential, what you believe to be happy, to somebody else. And even that is momentarily. Like you can give, and I know your mom Mary, you blessed Mary, give Mary. You can give Mary some money and you feel happy because it's your mom. Right. But another day is coming.
Absolutely.
And that'll be good. You give mom $10,000 on Monday. By next Monday, I mean, it was good, but you ain't feeling that. You know what I'm saying? Because it's past and gone. And what people need to understand is that in order to really start being happy, and I think longevity and happiness, you got to stay dedicated, you got to stay determined, and you got to stay disciplined.
Absolutely.
You got to stay the way, because if you get off track, no matter how good it looks, you know, people that they say there's a lot of rich people that's not happy.
Absolutely.
It's because money don't depict purpose.
Absolutely.
And so you have to know what you're doing. I'm a stickler about that. I don't really let people pull me off.
I'm with you.
In the stuff, you know, even if it's a good opportunity, it might not be now, but it could be later. But this one I'm supposed to be doing now.
Yep,
Now
focused.
let's talk about that word focus. I was about to go to that name. How do you focus on being happy? What do you have to add and what do you have to eliminate?
Well, exactly what you said, discipline. The easiest thing in the world, I read this in a book, the easiest thing in the world to do is be distracted.
Yep.
So if you're not disciplined, which I think is the most important thing, your time, if you're not disciplined with your time, then you will get distracted. If you can't say, back to what you were saying, if you can't say no to people and things, if you say you're gonna write a book and you keep saying yes to, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna go hang out with my friends, I'm gonna go on vacation, I'm gonna do this, you have to stay focused. You have to stay disciplined. You have to count your hours every single day. You know, Warren Buffett reads his first 6 hours every day. That's what he does every day. If you stay disciplined and focused on that, then everything else is built around it. People say they don't have time to work out. You do have time to work out.
Yeah, I got
you just
time.
decide to use your time, and that goes for your goals.
Yeah.
And that goes to your success and your accomplishments. If you don't stay disciplined, and if it doesn't mean something to you, and if the purpose isn't bigger than you, then you're going to easily get distracted.
Oh man, that's good. And one thing I want to say, you know, we coming to a close of this interview in a little bit, is that when you with certain communities, you know, like weightlifting or whatever, music, nobody's really going to understand what your happiness is until they have the same type of dreams and goals to achieve happiness. And that's one thing I want to leave. Remember that nobody can determine what your happiness is first but you.
I agree.
Well, Peris, we got to come to an end. I'm going to have to have you come back. We're going to have to do part 2.
Anytime.
Man,
Anytime.
I tell y'all, this is Peris Edwards' book, 365 Days of Happiness. His mama made him smile and wear the black and white on the suit. I want you to put your hands together and show your love for Mr. Peris Edwards. Thanks, Peris.
Thanks for having me, Dr.
Yes, sir.
Sam.
Yes, sir. Hey, we'll be right. Check this book out. We'll be right back. This is Dr. Sam back. This is your friend Dr. Sam, and I'm actually go to our website, www.thedrsamshow.us, or as I like to say, .us, because I'm feeling real friendly. Also, check me out in the Toledo Journal under the column Ask Dr. Sam. It comes out every Wednesday, where I'm giving advice for your heart, relationship, money, mind, and soul. And also check out the Dr. Sam radio show, where every Sunday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we are also giving out relationship advice and everything you want to see here. You can check us out on a Simple Radio app, iHeart app, or go to www.107.com. Hey, I love you. Peace. I'm out. This is the part of the show we call Ask Dr. Sam. This is when our lovable viewers send me in questions, and I answer them right here on the air. And you never know, your question might get answered. But today, I'm answering Chico's question at 36 years old, and he wants to know, any time in business, how do I keep business out of my personal life? I said, Chico, that's an easy question. Business is business and personal is personal. You have to separate the two. Sometimes it's hard, but you have to keep business and take the emotion out of it a lot of time, because you don't really make good business decisions when you're using emotions. Remember this with emotions. Emotions are used to drive a decision you've already objectively and logically made. So remember, keep business business and keep personal personal. I know some people are gonna get upset with you sometimes, but to keep your head straight, always make sure you take care of business first, and you will have great success. Chico, I want to say we appreciate you. This is Dr. Sam, and I'm out.
Hi, I'm Rhonda Cobb, the Money Coach, and I'm here to remind you to tune in to the Dr. Sam Show every Tuesday at 4 in the afternoon, where we'll cover topics that are pertinent to your life, like money, life, love, fitness, and all of it covered with Dr. Sam and his unique brand of humor and love. We love you, and we want to see you watching the Dr. Sam Show.
And welcome back. My next guest is a young man that's moving up the ladder of life. He's doing some tremendous things in his community. He's also a young entrepreneur moving his way up in business and life. And especially he's what you call a transformational speaker. We're going to ask him what that means and what that's all about. I want you to put your hands together and show your love for Mr. Mark Cipley. How you doing, Mark?
Hey, doing all right. What's up, man?
Good. Hey, we was talking before the show, of course, about your extraordinary story, even at 19 years old, which is fairly young. And let's start off talking about how did you grow up? Because I know that's a big part of what makes us. And how did you grow up?
Okay. So I was born in Toledo, Ohio, to two parents that definitely weren't fit to be parents. Alcoholics, drug addicts. It all came to a point, a lot of abuse, domestic violence in the home. It really came to a point to where it all came to a head, I guess you would say, when they left me and my brother alone for 3 days. Alone, abandoned.
Alone, like you mean in a house?
In
alone?
A house, in our birth home, abandoned. They left to do whatever they did.
How old were you?
I
and your
was
brother?
6 months years-old. My brother was about 1.5.
Wow. Okay.
So, when finally my screams after about 3 days alerted the neighbors to finally call the police. When the police came in, they found my brother feeding me sour milk out the fridge because he didn't know, what to do.
Right.
So they said there was a lot of diaper rash. My vocal cords were hoarse from screaming for 3 days. They were raw and bloody, and then after that we were put into foster care. Then I was adopted to a Christian couple.
Well, Mark, hold on. Say, do you know where your parents were? Did you ever find out where they were when they left you for 3 days? You and your brother?
We never found out where they were. They did come back into our lives for a little bit through the adoption process and foster care process. And then my parents. The ones I call my parents, the ones that adopted me, came into my life and adopted me when I was about 2 years old. That's when the papers were signed and everything. And then I went to live with them, as well as my brother. I thank God every day that my parents were, amazing enough to keep me and my brother together.
Yeah.
So it was really an eye-opening experience. Growing up with them, though, I was that rebellious teenager. It was really hard for me to attach, because I didn't have that love as a child. I didn't have that mom's love, or dad's love. It was really hard for me to attach or even realize that they wanted the best for me. So I pushed them away, which caused a lot of turmoil and trauma in the home that was really unneeded. I wouldn't attach. I would act out a lot. It got so bad, especially growing up. Felt like I didn't have a family at home, so I went and found a family on the streets to go try to ease that pain that I had deep down. And I was also a stuffer for a long time. I'd stuff my feelings and my emotions.
You said you was a stuffer?
A stuffer.
A stuffer. Now,
yes.
What is a stuffer?
A stuffer is when you bottle up all your feelings and emotions inside, and you just don't let it phase you. You walk around like it doesn't phase you, but really deep down. And then when it comes to that point in one person, it's that breaking point. And when that happened to me, it was bad things happened. So finally, I was slipping in school as I got older, around 16. I was slipping in school. I was breaking relationships. My parents and my brother relationship, it was all really rocky. I finally decided I wanted to do something through a lot of persuasion from my parents. And I went up to Job Corps in Detroit, where I was supposed to learn a trade. And then I came back on summer break at 17 years old and broke into one of my close friends from church's houses while they were at church.
And what a good Christian you are.
And at that point, I would never label myself a Christian. And then I was caught. It was the first thing I ever got caught for. I did a lot of dirt, but it was the first thing I ever really got caught for, and I was thrown into a jail cell, into JDC for about 64 days. Then went in front of a judge, and she sent me to YTC, the Youth Treatment Center. It treats the youth of Toledo. And I spent another 7-8 months there. And then finally, God really worked a lot through that, because I was 18 when I was sentenced. They could have easily sent me away for I'd be in jail this day.
Easily.
They could have sent me to 7-8 days. What we took from the house were guns, which is a high, it's a high risk item.
Right.
So the judge wanted to do that, but I could definitely feel God moving. He pulled some strings there like he does in everyday life. So it really, and then finally I was released from YTC, and I had a great support system around me. And I wanted to focus on better things. found a girl that I thought was the one for me, got engaged. Breaking up with her was probably a good turning point in my life because it really focused me on other things, focused on me building a relationship with Christ and focusing on building a career for myself. And that's what I'm focused on doing today.
Well, man, Mark, you're 19 years old and you just described the life of a 50-year-old man. But I want to back up a little bit, and really dig in some things now. When did you first realize that you had some type of problem or issue because of what happened to you when you was that little baby? How old were you then when you said something is just, I don't react or I don't feel these emotions I should, or how old were you when you first started seeing something was a little that needed to be changed?
Well, I think a lot of people have that idea wrong. I thought I was normal. Everybody was, doctors were diagnosing me with things. I would just pass them off as labels, and I thought I was perfectly normal. I didn't think I needed to change. I didn't think there was ever anything wrong with me different from everybody else.
All right, so, Mark, hold that thought, because it's a lot of people that think they're not wrong, but something is definitely wrong.
Definitely.
We're going to go to commercial break. This is the Dr. Sam Show. We'll be right back with Mark Cipley. This is your friend, Dr. Sam, and I'm actually go to our website, www.thedrssamshow.us, or as I like to say, .us, because I'm feeling real friendly. Also, check me out in the Toledo Journal under the column As Dr. Sam. It comes out every Wednesday, where I'm giving advice for your heart, relationship, money, mind, and soul. And also, check out the Dr. Sam radio show, where every Sunday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we are also giving out relationship advice and everything you want to see here. You can check us out on a Simple Radio app, iHeart app, or go to www.107.com. Hey, I love you. Peace. I'm out. And again, we're back. I'm your friend, Dr. Sam. And for those of you that just tuning in, you're watching the Dr. Sam Show, where I'm your host, friend, and confidant, Dr. Sam. And I'm talking to a young man that's moving up the ladder, Mr. Mark Cipley. And before we went to commercial break, Mark was talking about when things were going on in his life, he didn't realize that he even had a problem or he needed to change. And Mark, okay, let's leave off from there. You didn't think you didn't think you needed to change, and start from there and explain to us from not knowing you needed to change to actually realize, man, I do really need to change.
It was honestly, it was sitting in a 6x6 cell. That's the number one. Not being told what to do, being told when you have to go to bed, when the lights have to be shut out. I can't be up and play Xbox. I can't read past this amount of time at night. I can't go on Facebook. I think that was losing every right that I had, every freedom that I had was probably the eye-opening experience. Was like, whoa, I think it's time to do something different. So.
And most of the time when people go through that experience, it's not really they lost it, it's like they gave it up for free. You voluntarily gave up your freedom.
I did.
And sometimes people can't, the reason people do that, because they sometimes don't really know how to manage their own day-to-day life. So when you get locked up, you just have people to do it for you until you figure out that you can on your own. So after you was in YTC, you started figuring out some things. What happened then?
I started, really the number one experience was giving my life to Christ, really starting to trust and believe that there was a plan for me in this life, and starting to realize that maybe I am a little smart, and I'm a little smarter to be doing the stuff that, that I'm out here doing on the streets. So I realized a lot of people came to me and started telling me, you have a story that needs to be told, and I have a passion for helping people. I've always been that way. They told me, you have a story that needs to be heard. You're doing different things. You're transforming yourself and those around you as well. Why not do it on a larger scale? So I started to push myself to be in more events in the community, focus on really empowerment and betterment of the people around me as well as myself. And that was a big turning point. I got involved in some community fundraisers, throwing a couple of those. I've hosted a couple. Just trying to make the community better and get opportunities for youth that I pushed away. I had them, but I pushed them away as a kid because I just thought they weren't worth it. I wanted to do what I wanted to do regardless of what other people said.
Yeah, and a lot of times that's not a bad thing to want to do what you want to do. There just come stages in life when you not only want to do what you want to do, but you need to know what should I be doing right now, because what you will encounter in 3 years from now, maybe it's not what you should be doing right now. You will come across that in 3 years, but we need to know that. But what I want to ask you though, while we talking about all of this, and you're right, this is a tremendous story. How do you feel right now, 19-year-old Mark Cipley? How do you feel in your life right now?
It's a tough question. I'm content.
That's what you're here for. Go ahead.
I guess it took I'm content. I'm content knowing that God has my back and He has a plan for me. Where I'm going, is all in Him. So if I just have faith, things will work out. It took a long time to really come to grips with that fact. But it's like I just have faith, and may the dice fall where they land, and I'm content. That's how I describe my life right now. I'm just doing what I love, chasing my passions, and ultimately doing it all for the glory of God. So.
And that's real good, because life is like that. You walk it by faith, but you have a side where we have to do work. So that God can work through us. You can't have faith and be sitting on the couch eating bonbons. It don't work like that. But Mark, before we go to a commercial break, tell us, is it good to have a support system? What that means, having a support system around you, especially right now.
Definitely. It depends on which support system you're talking about. When I was immediately out of jail, having a support system was the best thing, because they kept me on the right track. They kept me focused on the things that I needed to be focused on, and to ignore the other people. And it gave me that sense of fellowship, those people to be around. Building a support team now is becoming more successful, and figuring things out of what I want to do in life is probably the best thing, hands down. But they need to be people that will empower you and push you to do better. That's the way I feel about a support team. Just have that sense of security around you.
That's good. That's good. Well, we about to go to commercial break, but when we come back, we're going to talk about this transformational speaker. What is that? You the first guy I ever heard of had that title on him, and so I wanted to see what that's all about. We take commercial break. When we come back, we're talking to Mark Cipley, the transformational speaker. This is the Dr. Sam Show. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Rhonda Cobb, the Money Coach, and I'm here to remind you to tune in to the Dr. Sam Show every Tuesday at 4 in the afternoon, where we'll cover topics that are pertinent to your life, like money, life, love, fitness, and all of it covered with Dr. Sam and his unique brand of humor and love. We love you, and we want to see you watching the Dr. Sam Show.
And we're back. Welcome to the Dr. Sam Show. I am talking to the one and only Mr. Mark Cipley, or better known as the transformational speaker. I told you before we went to break that we were going to talk about what exactly is a transformational speaker. Well, we're about to find out. Brother Mark, what is a transformational speaker? I've never heard that term before. You the first and only. You heard it right on the Dr. Sam Show first. You the one I've heard with that term for. What is a transformational speaker?
Well, a transformational speaker is pretty much what it sounds like. It's a speaker who speaks on transformation. I view that there is a huge difference between transformation and change. I view transformation as not only transforming and changing yourself, but transforming your relationships with those around you and the people in the community. You're transforming everything, and not only that, your outreach and the way people look at you is transforming their lives. You may not exactly touch them, you may not talk to them directly, but indirectly you're transforming lives through what people see, through the story that I share, through the beating of adversity. That's what a transformational speaker is to me. It's the speaking of transformation, and it's more than just speaking. It's the essence. It's what I put out, the vibes I put out of transformation, and that's what your transformation is.
The transformation speaker came about from your own experience, and when you're talking about your experience, how do you connect that to the people that's listening to you when you speak?
When I really matured and realized that I have a gift, and let's do something about it, I had to think on one point, like what do I want to speak about? And I realized, as a lot of people help me as well, I have a story that needs to be told. And then one word kept hitting me. It was I transformed it, you know. And really, it was God's work through me transformed everything around me. I realized I transformed my relationship with my parents. It was terrible. As I stated before, we had a terrible relationship. We were not on speaking terms. And through, you know, growing up and transforming my life, our relationship transformed, and now we have a flowing relationship. We're on talking terms, really close. Same with my brother, same with those around me. It's when you really start to grow and mature and people see that around you, you transform everything else around you. And that's the point. That's what I want to hit on. That's, you know, the story that I have can change and transforms people's lives.
I think the most valuable thing out of your own life story is always your own life story.
Yes.
And then particularly with your story is how you came into the world. It wasn't really no stability there. And then as you got older, you know, you basically trying to fend and figure out things for yourself. And then you got in some trouble, and that trouble took you into where you was placed under surveillance 24 hours a day. And it made you begin to think and look at your own life. And I think for a guy your age, that young, that takes a lot, because what that says is that it's somewhere in you is telling you there's something better than this.
Yes.
You know, and a lot of adults don't figure that out. It's something better than this nonsense or this stuff that's happening to me.
Definitely.
And part of it I can control, part of it I can transform, part of it I can walk away from, part of it I can pull in. So I want you to share this with me. Where in the transformation are you at right now in your life? What are you transforming from to into?
I guess I'm transforming into it. Every day is an opportunity for growth. I don't think there's ever an end for transformation or growth. I think you can always, there should never be a stopping point. Why should we limit ourselves to a level, you know? But from my most recent state, you know, I've rose above what I've done. A lot of people still, I guess I'm trying to transform out of I can't change what people think about me, but a lot of people still doubt. A lot of people have their, you know, their thoughts, you know, and I guess that's what I'm trying to transform out of, change out of, is to really try to show, you know, that I'm not who I was. I'm doing this now, and it's legit. It's real. It's raw, and that's what I shoot for in every day, you know, in everyday life, so people can see the rawness of what I've been through to where I am now.
And let me give you this word of advice while you're saying that. Mm-hmm. The best thing you can do for you, being Mr. Mark Cipley, is to focus on what you know. Yes. And be open to learn from people that you don't know. And that takes a lot of discipline and dedication and diligence. And because a lot of people can't do that, they can't go through life without getting distracted. Mm-hmm. One of the greatest things I have mastered myself is how to not get distracted because of what I'm here to do. You know, for example, one of your calls is a motivational, inspirational speaker, transformational speaker. Focus on that, and you won't have to worry about what other people think or see you different. I understand why you're saying that, but the more you dive in and focus and let God lead you and stay to your purpose and call, the people that will be drawn to you, to the people that are to help you or to be there for you for when you know, as you growing up and you growing up as a young man now. And that's a great thing. I think you're in an excellent position right now where you at. If ain't nobody told you, I'm telling you here on the Dr. Sam Show. And you keep taking one step at a time, one day at a time. Well, Mark, we about coming down to the close of the interview. All the ladies are looking out there want to know, are you seeing somebody or you're single?
It's complicated, Sam.
No, it ain't complicated. This is a yes or no. It ain't.
It's complicated, Sam. I'm waiting for God to bring along the right one.
All right, because it's complicated what they put in them little Facebook statuses. I never know what that means. It's complicated.
I'm trusting that God has the one out for that.
Okay, all right. You hear that, ladies? He trusts God has the one for him. I don't know if that's you, but that's him. Well, Mr. Cipley, I appreciate it, man. You did a wonderful job, and man, we praying for you. Keep doing it, man, one day at a time. And so, family, I want you to put your hands together for Mr. Mark Cipley. This is Dr. Sam Show. We will be right back. Check this young man out. He's doing some great things. Mark Cipley's information been on the screen. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Rhonda Cobb, the Money Coach, and I'm here to remind you to tune in to the Dr. Sam Show every Tuesday at 4 in the afternoon, where we'll cover topics that are pertinent to your life, like money, life, love, fitness, and all of it covered with Dr. Sam and his unique brand of humor and love. We love you, and we want to see you watching the Dr. Sam Show.
I want to thank you today for tuning in. It was a great show with Mr. Peris Edwards and Mark Cipley, and I just want to give you my final thoughts. As you've seen with these two gentlemen, sometimes your path starts one way in life and ends up going another way. What you have to always be aware of what am I supposed to do, and trust that feeling in your spirit that tells you to go a certain way at a certain time, because you never know when you're supposed to be going left and you're going right. But always trust that spirit that is leading you to do what you need to do, and then know where you want to go and what's your purpose and your plan. Have a plan together, so when your purpose and plan comes together, you start reaching destiny. You start going to the place you need to go and where you need to be. So I want to encourage you, always let the process work itself out through your life. Always take care of yourself, love your life, and remember this: always tell somebody you love them, because you never know when you may see them again. I love you. This is Dr. Sam, and I'll see you next time.
Well, you can tell everybody. Yeah, you can tell everybody. Go ahead and tell everybody. I'm the man, I'm the man, I'm the man. Yes, I am, yes, I am, yes, I am. I'm the man, I'm the man, I'm the man.